Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Happy Friday and welcome on into the ultimate Cleveland sports show. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk Guardians, Browns, Cavs, including the Guardians' big series this weekend in Pittsburgh. They're going to face Paul Skeens, and what happened in Baltimore with Tanner Bybee. We're going to talk about it. Dustin.
Hey guys, I'm Dustin Fox. We're going to tell you which draft analyst you need to pay attention to.
I'm G. Bush.
Yeah.
And listen, let's talk about Travis Hunter. He looks like he's going to be a Cleveland Brown. If he does become a Cleveland Brown, which person is he most like when it comes to being electrifying? I'll give you the name coming up here next.
Let's start it right there. All the reports, all the feelings, all the indications to this point are that the Browns are leaning toward Travis Hunter with the second pick in next week's draft. If that's the case, Mike threw out an interesting question this week. He would be the most exciting Browns player since who? And it's a pretty short, pitiful list. And we actually all had the same name that we threw out, which was
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon.
All together, boys and girls.
Josh Gordon.
He was here for about 20 minutes. It was an electrifying 20 minutes.
Yep.
But Dustin, if we can take Josh off the list, because
Yes.
that's the most obvious one, is there another name on the list? Is there anybody else who you would?
Well, yes, it's very simple. From an excitement standpoint,
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel.
Okay.
Johnny Manziel. Not now productivity, no.
Yeah.
But from a standpoint of how much we were like jumping for joy
Yeah.
and screaming and fired up for this guy to be part of the Browns, the money sign, all of it that
Yeah.
came with Johnny football, I think that would be close to Travis Hunter.
Man, we got fleeced tough back then. We got fleeced a few times. So you got Johnny Football. I'm like, yo, this is about to be crazy. We got Johnny Football. I had to go another route. I was going to say, I remember. I listened to Bull and the Fox when they announced they had got Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this was like Odell coming from New York. This wasn't the guy that we saw now who's like, bouncing from camp to camp. But his name alone was just like, I mean, the catch was everywhere. It's the fact that, you had Baker was here, Jarvis Landry was here. He had came a year prior, and we thought like they're on the cover of Sports Illustrated. We like, yo, these guys we about to be it. And then that melted down very quickly, and we know how that went. But in terms of like the name brand recognition, being a receiver, ironically, my man number 12, Travis Hunter, and then we got 13, Odell Beckham Jr. So I think OBJ would be the name.
The Odell era just felt like a big disappointment. It just felt like a letdown. Oh, I hear what you're saying, and you're right. It was.
I mean, when
exciting.
he
Yes.
first got here, I was like,
Yes.
woo! And then it was like,
Yes. And I hear what you're saying with Manziel, sort of the same thing. I went another direction. I went like actual on-field excitement. I went all the way back to Josh Cribbs. Because for a while, the only time the Browns could score was when special teams was on the field. And I remember watching Browns games thinking, well, if they hold him to 3, maybe Josh can run back. And now you're up 4. Now it's a 4-point. Like it was the best offense.
Yeah.
Was the punt return or the kick return?
that's a doggone shame. It's bad, fellas, when I had to do a top 10 list of the Cleveland Browns all-time receivers, and all the pictures were in black and white. Dante Lavelli, no disrespect. You got you Max Speedy. You had a bunch of guys. I mean, Ozzie Newsome, a tight end, was our explosive guy. That's wild to me.
Webster Slaughter was the color era.
Oh yeah,
That was during color TVs.
Yeah, Langhorn.
Metcalf did.
Yeah,
Metcalf.
Yeah. But we never used him right. We had a Swiss Army. We were supposed to be using him like Devin Hester.
Bro, I was like 8 years old. I don't remember how they used him.
Metcalf up the
All I
middle.
know is he was the sexiest Browns player they had.
Right, or Ice Cube Gerald McNeil.
I actually did think Metcalf when we were doing this, but I couldn't go all the way back to the the old era.
That just goes to show you how inept the Browns have been offensively.
Metcalf was like our poor man's Dion.
Oh, look.
Same number,
Yeah.
punt returns, all that.
He had the
And it's
spat.
kind of an insult. I mean, it is an insult to Metcalf because he was a beast. But no. But I mean, he was like our Deion Sanders kind of version.
I never forget that day, Eric Metcalf, the games was blacked out in Canton, so we used to have this my dad got this little TV radio.
Were they really? Games were blacked out in Canton?
Blacked out.
Why were they blacked out in Canton?
Ticket sales, right?
If you didn't sell that stadium,
If it wasn't a sellout,
you was out of here. So my dad got this little thing from
So
a pawn
stupid.
shop and was like, "Yo, we had the antenna with the bunny ears, and we used to get the feed out of like Youngstown." And the radius was wide enough that we could watch the game. And I remember him returning 2 kickoff.
Hey, man,
punt
struggle's
returns.
real, dog.
Struggle was real back then. 2 punt returns against the Pittsburgh Steelers at the stadium. I remember that game all the time. So, yeah, that's been a long time ago, man.
Now that you say that, I remember watching WTOL out of Toledo, Channel 13,
Right.
on my little black and white
I tell
TV.
you, look.
Sometimes the game would be different than the Cleveland
It
game.
would be. How far we've come.
Yeah, right?
Right? That's
Dude,
crazy.
Well, there was one time, this is unrelated to the Browns, but my brother was playing for the Colts in preseason. And we had no way to watch him play, but they were playing, actually playing for the Rams, excuse me. Rams were playing the Buffalo Bills. And we had no way to watch the game because no internet.
Yeah.
Right.
This is 2000.
Nothing.
So my
Which
dad,
is not that
my
long
dad and
ago.
I got in our car and drove to Erie, PA, rented a hotel room because it got the Buffalo station.
Listen, this is how you
And the game was in
manipulate
St.
the
Louis.
system. Manipulating the system, fellas. This brought that was a warm spot to my heart, man. I mean, it's the good old days, man.
Yeah, man.
Are we all in agreement Travis Hunter's the pick?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any debate over that.
I mean, Andrew Berry, he was talking, he was nostalgic just like we were a couple of seconds ago. He didn't call them every name in the book, but he didn't.
Compared him to Shohei.
like the fact that he's like, yeah, no one's ever done this before. And, you just got to get that guy the opportunity to do what he wants to. We'll let him play whatever he wants. Yeah, I think that's the pick, Dusty.
And okay, if they draft him, are we playing him primarily on offense his first year?
I think he plays both.
I think they are.
How many snaps on defense? Percentage? 50%?
65.
I think, I was going to go lower than 50. Right around 50.
30.
30.
35%?
Depending on the game and matchup.
I'd say he plays every third down and every play in the red zone.
I mean, I think they're gonna use him a lot against the division, especially the Bengals and the Steelers, because they have 2 good receivers. This is gonna be fun.
For those who may have missed it, on our YouTube show last week, Tyvis Powell did a terrific breakdown of Travis Hunter and just the way his style of play, the way he plays defensively, offensively. Tyvis, of course, played at Ohio State, played in the NFL, just did a marvelous job. And after that, we were talking, and I asked Tyvis, what's more important, what room is more important for him to be in, the offensive room or the defensive room? And he said, unequivocally, the offensive room, because defense, all you need, it can only be like one of 3 or 4 things, and that's
Right.
it. You turn around, you ask the safety, hey, what are we in? He tells you, good, we're good to go. Now, communication's been a problem for the Browns at times on the defensive side. They've had a lot of busts, but if they get that worked out, that defensively there's really not a whole lot to know, but offensively the plays can flip from one side of the field to the other depending on formation, coverage, that whole thing. So it's crucial for him to be in the offensive room. It's a fascinating discussion to have because no one's ever done this. It doesn't mean no one can do it. It's just we haven't seen it to this point. And I think the Browns, they haven't necessarily done a great job with being innovative and developing guys, but they're going to get an opportunity here to get really a once in a lifetime type player that we've seen.
Does he have the most popular Browns selling jersey next year if he's drafted?
Yes.
By far?
By
It's not
far.
even close.
Yeah.
Not even
By far.
close.
I think
There's no quarterback that you're going to run. I mean, Flacco might be second, actually.
Dude, my son, who's a diehard Bills fan, will have a Travis Hunter jersey.
Because
Right.
if you want a Miles jersey, you already have.
You already got a
jersey.
Miles.
If you want a Chubb, you've already got the Chubb.
I don't
jersey.
I don't know if Judy has. I don't know if that translates.
he doesn't have that juice. No.
We're gonna see a lot of young ladies out there with that number 12 on.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be the most sold since Baker.
Yeah, I say so.
I would 100% agree. Speaking of the draft, we are less than a week away. When we're back on this very airwave next Friday, we will know who the Cleveland Browns have selected with the number 2 overall pick. So I wanted to ask you guys this question, big picture, but There are a million different NFL draft insiders and gurus and whatnot. And now that we're just 6 days away from the first round, I'm curious, and Dustin, we'll start with you. Which one of the draft insiders do you tend to trust more, that you think are the most reliable with legitimate intel this close to the draft, where everything seems to be quote-unquote smokescreen scene?
Listen, I'm a little bit old school, but I still think Mel Kiper's the GOAT.
Yeah.
And whether you don't like him, you don't think he's whatever, past his prime, over the hill, whatever. I mean, Mel has been doing this for the longest time, and everyone in this business owes their career probably to him.
Yeah.
In some ways, but I put him up there. Daniel Jeremiah, who I think is fantastic. Him and Bucky both do a great job. Bucky Brooks, and I would say Dane Brugler, our guy, local dude, Mount Union, does a great job.
Well, you took them all, so thanks for leaving.
Who's the guy that was on? He was the one with us on the YouTube. Your guy,
Brugler? Greg Cosell.
Greg Cosell.
Greg Cosell is the best at breaking down tape. I wouldn't say he doesn't mock draft guys. He doesn't pick where they're going to go. He doesn't say this guy's going to be a first. He says this is what this guy can do.
Yeah, he's great at giving you insight into like the skill set of these dudes. I like him a lot. McShay is the old school guy. Like. So
sort of forgot about McShay. I like him.
I like McShay. I like when McShay and Mel used to go back and forth. You know who they like getting off now? Who's the other dude with Kuiper now?
Our boy Matt Miller?
Yes. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good too. But Kuiper is the OG. I remember everyone has a big board now. No, you don't have a big board. You don't break down tape. You use Mel Kiper's words to make yourself sound better. Yeah. And he created half the buzzwords, Jason. He gives you that book, and he was like he was flipping through pages in the 90s, like pulling. He had the hair slicked back. I'm like, man, this is Pat Riley's cousin talking about all of these doggone NFL players, and he would know like 5th round guys from Chattanooga State, like. He put time in on that.
Mel Kiper he created an industry that didn't exist. He didn't revolutionize it. He created it.
Mel Kiper Enterprises, baby.
Yeah, it starts with any list like this starts with Mel. I'll also give a shout out to Dane Brugler. I work at The Athletic. Dane does an unbelievable job with The Beast. If you haven't seen it, it's the deepest, most thorough draft guide out there on the market. If you think like Phil Steele does a good job with his college football stuff, okay, well, like I remember when I had my first beer, it says Dane. Like he puts this thing. How many pages is it? Like 1,000 pages.
That
it is so good.
Yeah.
Shout out to Phil Steele, man.
Phil's great too, by the way.
He had
local guy.
He be having Division II.
Phil Steele's a local guy.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Where's he from?
Westlake.
Westlake.
I had no idea.
Yeah. He's a local legend in college football. But go check out Dane Brugler's Beast before Thursday if you want. It gives you a breakdown. It's 500 pages ish, maybe more. Gives bios of everybody. Just does a remarkable job.
How many people do you think they got on their phone? Like Kuiper?
Hundreds.
Big top names.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Cavs have a playoff series coming up this weekend, but we don't know the opponent yet. Who's the better matchup for them, Atlanta or Miami? We'll talk about it next on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. If you like what you see here, you can catch us every day on YouTube from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Just punch in UCSS in the search bar, and you'll find us. All right, guys, Cavs have a playoff series coming up this weekend. We don't know the opponent yet. It's either going to be the Atlanta Hawks or the Miami Heat. They play tonight. G, we'll start with you. Who are you rooting for tonight? What jersey are you wearing, the Atlanta Hawks or the Miami Heat? What is a better matchup for the Cavaliers?
Listen, I got my Trae Young jersey on. I need the Hawks to win. Let me tell you something about the Heat. I don't like the Heat. The Cavs have traditionally played terrible against the Heat. They played bad in Miami, going way back to when LeBron was even here. Eric Spoelstra will have the defense ready to go. Bam Adebayo, he's a dude that can give you trouble. Tyler Hero shooting the ball. I mean, I just saw him play the other night. He had like 40, I think, against Chicago. He came back in and he's balling. I just don't like the Heat is going to have something for you. They're going to muddy that up. They're going to not let the Cavs get to where they want, and they're going to be physical. And so that's the calling card. Give me Trae Young, Dustin, and I'll take the Hawks, given the fact that Hunter is coming back. Now, we will have to see George Niang and Karis LeVert. That'll be a nice little story. But at the end of the day, I'd rather see those guys than seeing those other dudes in Miami.
Shit, man, nobody was worried about those guys when they were on the Cavs. Why would the Cavs worry about them now?
No, they're not.
So, no, I worry about the Heat a little bit. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The Cavs should wash the floor with either one of these teams in probably 5 games at worst. Look, the Hawks are a soft team. They don't play a lot of defense. Trae Young is a scorer, but he's not a big guy. The Cavaliers could be physical with that team. The Heat can muck it up, and they have the best coach, I think, in the game, which certainly can present some challenges. Mikey knows all too well about how Spo can draw it up in the playoffs and win with less talent than he faces. So I'd say the Hawks for sure. The spread's 1. I mean, it's a pick'em game tonight.
Yeah, Jason, I look at it from a standpoint of the Cavs. If we think the Cavs, who are they supposed to be, we can't be worried about no first round matchups. They're supposed to be money in the bank. But I will say this: Miami, Eric Spoelstra is going to make you choose something that you don't really like to do, and he's going to make other people beat you besides your main guys.
Well, we've talked about this before. The finals, the playoffs in the NBA are a war of attrition. And it's not necessarily the first round, but what it takes out of you to get through the first round. And we saw that last year. Orlando extracted a pound of flesh out of the Cavs in that first round series. Jared Allen was out for the rest of the playoffs. They got beat up physically by a really physical team. And to me, this is easy. I look at Miami's already knocked off a 1 seed just a couple of years ago. They took out the championship DNA Bucks with a championship level coach and got him fired. And Giannis got hurt in the series. I get it, but still, that was a 1-8 matchup. And Miami went from the 8 seed all the way to the NBA Finals. And if they did it before, they can do it again. They don't have Jimmy Butler, but they have Tyler Hero. They have Bam. They have championship DNA, and Dustin's right. If Spo isn't the best coach in the league, then he's in the conversation for top 2 or 3. Atlanta is a good young team. They're long and athletic. The Cavs have had problems with them this year. I do think the playoffs would be different. I don't think the Hawks are a team that's ready to contend right now. In another year or two, I think they could be really, really good, but they're not there yet. And if they were, I don't think they would have made the DeAndre Hunter trade in the first place. I think they were trying to get off future money. They weren't necessarily looking at this year. So Atlanta's got to have the home crowd behind them. I won't be surprised at all if Miami wins this game, though.
On the Atlanta thing, and they did give the Cavs struggles this season. The Cavs only lost 16 games. 2 of those came to Atlanta.
Yeah.
What the Cleveland Cavaliers struggled with against Atlanta was their length. Well, DeAndre Hunter was part of the length in the first 2 matchups when Atlanta beat them. He is now wearing a Cavaliers uniform. And Jalen Johnson, who may be the best of all their long, lanky wings, is on the sideline with an injury. Atlanta plays no defense. The Cavaliers could beat Atlanta with a B or a C game because their B or C game still is about 117 points. They have to hope Atlanta doesn't get hot. If it's up to me, the Cavs should win in 5 regardless. But I'd much rather take an opponent that plays 0 defense than a wizard on the sideline in Spo every single day of the week.
Would you be surprised if the Heat series went 6 games? It wouldn't shock me at all.
No.
It could go 7. It wouldn't shock me.
I'd be surprised if it went more than 5, but I think it'd be a tough 5. They just don't have the scoring firepower to keep up with Cleveland, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You saw the last time they played, they had a double-digit lead with 6 minutes to go, and they scored 2 field goals in the final 6 minutes because now Hero didn't play that game. It is worth mentioning. But their offensive options in a late-game situation, they're just so limited.
Yeah. Atlanta could be a sweep. Cavs could sweep them. I hate picking sweeps in the NBA. It's so hard.
Yeah.
All these teams are so good. But I certainly think an Atlanta series would go a lot quicker than a Miami series, and I think physically it wouldn't take as much out of them either. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Guardians had a rough time in Baltimore last night, and Paul Skeens is on the horizon this weekend. We're going to talk about their weekend series coming up in Pittsburgh when we come back on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Guardians had a rough go of it last night in Baltimore. Tanner Bybee gave up 3 home runs last night. Now a league-leading 7 home runs allowed. His strikeouts are down. His home runs are up. It's only 4 starts. No one's panicking over what the numbers look like in April, but they're not good. And there you see it last night. Bybee falls to 1-2, 5 2/3 innings. Gave up 6 runs. He gave up 7 runs in his debut game against the Angels. Only made it through 4 2/3 innings. On another start. So clearly Bybee's off to a rough start, guys. This is a guy I picked last year for my bold prediction for the Guardians that Tanner would receive Cy Young votes. Didn't quite live up to that. Didn't have a bad year last year, but really off to a rough start this year. Really struggling to locate his pitches, struggling with fastball command. Guys, what do you make of Tanner Bibee's struggles, and where do the Guardians go if he doesn't get it straightened out?
Most of the time, I just want to lean on this every time, they struggle in the beginning of the season. I'm like, man, it's cold outside.
Yeah.
I went outside the other day and was like, bro, it's 40. Like, these guys are playing in this type weather. It has to be difficult to get warmed up and ready to play. I mean, when you play in cold weather games like this and everybody else is, you got to wait 2 weeks to get home to even play your first game at home. It's kind of crazy. It's only 3 starts, but is it alarming? Yes, because they need him and Gavin Williams to be on top of their game. If they want to get to where they want to go, they can't count on the bullpen and do exactly what they did last year, which is kind of tough. But listen, it's only 3 starts. Hopefully he gets his command. Hopefully he starts throwing like Tanner Bibee traditionally has. Dustin, I'm not too worried about it. I'll give him a few more starts before I go.
I mean, listen, it's a little alarming. The 7 home runs given up as the league lead, so that is concerning. However, he did have a really nice spring training, so he earned the right to be the opening day starter, even though that whole thing went the way it went. But no, I'm not that concerned right now. I also think there's a certain level of expectations on this guy to be the man, to come back from the injuries and all these things and be this great ace for the Guardians. Weather's not great. Conditions aren't that great right now. Let's kind of scoot into May and figure out what Tanner Bibee looks like for the Guardians going forward.
Tanner hasn't quite been what we expected. Gavin Williams, I thought, would take the leap. That hasn't quite happened yet. Tristan is a mess in the bullpen. We talked about that yesterday. And yet, given all that, the Guardians are a 500 team. They're 9-9. It's very, very early. There's obviously a ton of baseball still to play. There's nothing really to panic about at this point. But it's just a little frustrating and disappointing, I guess, that Tanner's, one of the things that we talked about with him is he's got to get deeper into games. He's got to work deeper into games. Get into that 6th inning. When you get ahead with guys, put them away. Don't start nibbling and messing around. You had 3 or 4 pitches per at bat. Next thing you know, you're out of the game 4 2/3. You don't even make it through the 5th. He did get through 6 last night at least. That's a positive sign. Ultimately, I agree with you guys. I think it'll be fine. But it's just, a little troubling to see your best starters sort of struggling a little bit to start out the year.
And it's great because, look, I mean, the division is the division. This division keeps the Guardians in it. I think the top is 11-8 right now. 500 baseball team. Detroit is 3 games over 500. So, look, they're treading water. They're doing what they're supposed to do. We'll see what happens when they get to June.
Gabby Arias, one of the big positives of this early season. He's really sort of solidifying his place in the lineup. He's a guy they've been patient with for years and years and years, finally starting to come around, hit another home run last night. Moved all the way up to cleanup last night. There you see with the 4 home runs. So
you've been waiting on that lottery ticket.
Jose Ramirez, believe it or not.
That's crazy. Welcome to April baseball.
Jason has been waiting on that Arias lottery ticket for 3 years.
Tyvis now is all about Arias. Predicted 17 home runs. He's well on his way.
That's crazy.
Guardians in Pittsburgh this weekend.
Gonna face Paul Skeens for the first time. Very, very excited to see how this lineup, which is not being good, is probably putting it a little too nicely, goes against a guy who might be the best young pitcher in baseball. If not the best pitcher in baseball, Jason.
Yeah, Skeens is fun to watch unless you're the one in the box against him. The most dominating young arm. You just hope he stays healthy with the way guys are falling to Tommy John. You hope that he's built like a horse. Hopefully that he can continue to pitch this way, except this weekend, of course. It'll be fun to see the Guardians get their first look at him. And also Luis Ortiz. The Guardians made the big trade with the Pirates in the offseason. Ortiz will go back and face his old team for the first time tonight. And then tomorrow, I think it's Lively against Skeens. So let's all
bit of a pitching edge in that one.
Yeah, let's all circle around and lay hands on Ben Lively as he goes against Paul Skeens and say a little prayer for him and the Guardians bats.
We do have Logan Allen versus Mitch Keller on Sunday, and Allen's coming off his best start maybe since his rookie year. Jason, do you have an edge or a lean? Which side would have the pitching advantage in that matchup?
That's sort of a wash to me. I still don't have a ton of faith in Allen. He was great his last time out. Take nothing away from him. I just don't have him in that same category as some of these other guys in their rotation.
Yeah, back in the day, he was part of the big 3, and then we figured out, he's just
Nah, Espino was the other arm in the big three.
And he was like, you got that.
All right, thanks for watching the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll be back on Monday on YouTube at 11 o'clock. We'll talk about Cavs Game 1 against whoever their opponent was. We'll have the recap. Have a good day.
Peace.